I
Yeah,
love
it's an
that.
honor. It's a pleasure. You
Yeah,
know.
man, I'm looking forward to it. I've heard a lot about you, so I'm looking forward to kind of diving into what you've got going on. I like the studio. I like the setups. We've got all kinds of questions for you. But the main question is that I want to start with is like, what kind of got you into this? Because I've heard that you started out on more of the rapper side, more of the performance side, and then you kind of switched over to producing lately. So I want to dive into that. So I guess you can just start from the beginning and tell us what got you into this.
All right, so I've been a rapper since I was about 6 years old. Rapping, dropping like mixtapes and stuff like that. My dad used to write rhymes for me and my brother and my sister. We were like a three. It was three of us. It was like a trio. It was dope. It was like me, my sister, and my brother. We were a group, and they used to write rhymes for us. We were like little kids, and we would drop like mixtapes and everything. And we always like we loved it. We fell in love with rap. You know, he was always a producer. He would have people like DMX and freaking AZ and a whole bunch of like people coming to the house that we didn't even know were as big as they were. You know what I'm saying? Like they would come to the house and be recording and stuff, and we would be like, you know what I'm saying? And so we just fell in love with music because it was like an everyday thing for us. So, you know, from being like about 6 years old all the way to high school, people known us to be like just rap artists. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember my first grade teacher made me rap for the classroom. She was like, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I said, "A rapper." And that was like very rare at the time. This was in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? For a little kid to say that. You know, if you rap, like, can we hear something? And they brought me up and I rapped for the whole class. Like, wow, like what? You know what I'm saying? So yeah. And then from there on out, you know, fell in love with rap and just been doing that like forever.
Okay. What got you into producing? Where'd the switch over come from?
So I would always dabble in it, you know what I'm saying, because my dad did it. He was a producer, so I always knew how to make beats. You know what I'm saying? And well, one day I was just like in the studio and my mom, she had bought me my mom had bought me one of these M Audio, you know, midis. And you know, when she got it for me, it sat for a whole year. I never used it because I was like still just stuck on the rap thing. So then one day I was like, you know what? Let me make a beat. And I was like in the studio just messing around, and I was sampling a record by SWV. It's called "That's What I Need." And while I was sampling it, we made the beat. My brother was recording it in the room. He was like, "Viddy, what's the name of this sample?" And I'm like, "Nah, I can't tell you that." You know what I'm saying? I'm playing the beat, and then the next day I woke up in the morning with like 1 million views on it. They were like, what? And then people hitting me in my DM like, "Oh, where's your website? We need beats. Where's the website?" And I'm like, "I only got one beat. Like, I don't, I'm not even a producer. Like, I don't understand what's going on." And then that right there kind of like launched my production career, because then I locked in after that. And I went in and I started making a bunch of beats. And I got better and better and better. It was like a lot of pressure too, because it was like one day you could not even be known as a producer, and then the next day you got thousands of people hitting you for beats. So I was like almost an amateur as well. Like, you know what I'm saying? As far as like mix quality, everything. I had to learn all of that so fast.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, does the fact that your father is Spunk Bigger, does that put pressure on you as far as from a creative standpoint? Do people judge you more harsh than they would if he wasn't your father?
Nah, not really, because so it's like a lot of people, like where I come from, right? I'm from a city called Mount Vernon, Money Earning Mount Vernon. That's where like Heavy D is from, Pete Rock. You know, we got some legendary producers and stuff like that. So like maybe the people that come from where I come from, the people that know my dad personally, or like that know the family and know like, oh yeah, Viddy, you gotta come hard because you know your Spunk is like. But a lot of people worldwide, they don't even really know the story.
Right.
So like that's why I'm glad to even be able to be on this platform to tell it, because a lot of people, like, I feel like Spunk Bigger got looked over for years. You know what I'm saying? Opposed to like Pete Rock and like other producers that came from this area and stuff like that. Like Spunk was doing this before you heard of like Kanye West and all of these producers and stuff. Like Spunk was sampling records from the, you know what I'm saying, from the DeBarges and the you know what I'm saying, the Four Tops and the Delphonics, all type of crazy stuff. That's what I grew up on. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's the pressure is not really, it's not a lot of pressure on me because I feel like because a lot of people don't know the genuine story behind Spunk Bigger, like how you can see Swiss Beats used to shout him out like, yo, Spunk Bigger was my influence growing up.
Right.
Stuff like that. Yeah. But they don't know. A lot of people don't know. Now,
you call yourself, your sub moniker is the Sample King.
Yeah.
All right. Tell people where that came from.
All right. So just so I'm glad you asked that question. I love the question because I wanted to give this breakdown. A lot of people jump on my comments and they say all he doing is sample. All he can do is sample. That's not what it is. It's that I'm trying to brand myself as a specific type of producer, right? So it's not that I can't do originals. I have a bunch of original work. I like sampling. I like the roots. I like where we came from. Hip hop started on samples and beat breaks. Right. Even the breaks are samples that producers made beats out of. So you would see like 5 different samples in one to make a beat back in the day, right? So I grew up on that culture. And a lot of people don't understand that that's the culture that hip hop started in, and that's what I'm trying to bridge the gap. Yeah. So I'm trying to bring the old and mix it with the new. So I might put 808s and hi-hats and all the fast hats and trap snares with a Barry White sample, right? Absolutely. And that bridges the gap. So now the youth, they're like, oh, the 808s is going. But then somebody born in the 70s and the 60s are like, oh, that's Barry White. I grew up on that. So I'm trying to bridge the gap that way.
Yeah, like I remember our first conversation that you and I had. You was like, one thing that drew me to the track that I had sent you was the fact that it had a couple samples.